So, for a while, people have been wondering, oh, when is there going to be a stronger DPS than Mavwika? As on her release, she was so absurdly strong that people couldn't possibly visualize anyone being stronger for a long time. Well, safe to say that with the release of Columbina, Nefer is currently looking to match Mavwika's output, depending on if the rotation times we have for her are accurate. But also, the new character Zibai is also looking to match Mavwika's output, and potentially be better than her. Hello there, Flip here, and today we're going to be talking about the White Horse Adeptus, breaking down what her kit does as well as Lunar Crystallize, and then looking into her teams as well as how strong she's shaping up to be. But before we do that, as always, if at any points during the video you're entertained or informed, make sure to drop a like and even consider subscribing, as I talk on various topics regarding Genshin's meta and I'll try to keep you updated. Shout out to my lovely channel members, thank you for fueling all of my bad habits, it means the world to me. And also, so right now both Durn and Venti are on banner, so if you'd like to cut down on the costs while going for them, then I would like to announce the sponsor for today's video, LD Shop. LD Shop is a very safe and reliable top-up site that allows you to get Primogems at a great deal starting from 15% off, while keeping your data safe. As for transactions, you only need to type in your UID and region, as you can see me doing here. Just needed to quickly refresh my welkin, and as you can see it's here. And make sure to use my link, as that way you'll receive an extra 15% off coupon, as well as a 5% off coupon which can save you up to $50. LD Shop goes through official channels as well, meaning that you won't lose any of the in-game benefits like first time top-up bonuses, so no need to worry. And additionally, because LD Shop is so great, users who spend over $80 will receive a VIP membership which rewards you with free welcome moons. So head over to ldshop.gg using my link in the description below. What are you waiting for? Thanks to LD Shop for sponsoring this video, now back to it. Now before we even get to Zibai, she's the first Lunar Crystallized character we have, so I should break down how that works first. So when you have a Lunar Crystallize enabler on your team, and your Hydro Aura and Geo Aura love each other very much. Okay, I'm trolling. When you apply Geo onto a Hydro Aura with a Lunar Crystallize enabler on your team, this will immediately create 3 Geo Moondrifts. And then after you trigger Lunar Crystallize 3 more times, each one of these Moondrifts will deal Lunar Crystallize damage once. And also these Moondrifts will act as 3 separate Geo constructs, while not adding to the total construct limit. So essentially Geo onto Hydro creates the 3 constructs, and then after your next 3 Lunar Crystallized reactions, it will deal damage 3 times. And like with the Lunar Charged reaction, everyone who deals Hydro or Geo damage while the construct is charging will contribute to the final damage. And also like with Lunar Charged, it shares basically the exact same formula, so how EM and crit stack up factor in the same way. The only difference is that the Lunar Crystallize reaction multiplier is about half of Lunar Charged, but in return it does hit 3 times every time it procs, in which it does depend on your Geo applicators, but from the footage seen in a 20-second-ish rotation, you're getting like 4 to 5 volleys of Lunar Crystallize damage, in which Lunar Crystallize, with similar resistance, is usually just more damage overall than Lunar Charged, so it is a pretty strong reaction and I think it has a cool gimmick. And I did never cover it, but for how Columbina buffs Lunar Crystallize, when you trigger a Lunar Crystallize volley, every hit in that volley has a 33% chance to hit again. So yes, considering how much damage Lunar Crystallize already does, it's a very good buff. We can now finally get into discussing Zibai's kit, in which she's a defense scaling Geo character who's going to obviously be played as your main DPS, and deal a lot of powerful Lunar Crystallize hits. There is nothing interesting going on with her basic attack, so we can just go straight to her elemental skill, which is the main meat of her kit. When casting her elemental skill, Zibai will enter the Lunar Phase Shift mode, and in her Phase Shift form, her normal and charge attacks will be converted into Geo damage that can't be overridden, and while in this form, she will have a special resource called Phase Shift Radiance, and when you have enough Radiance, you will be able to cast her special elemental skill. And also, if you're an Ascendant Gleam with Zibai, which you should be, whenever you reach her 4th normal attack, it will additionally deal a direct Lunar Crystallize hit, so you do ideally want to reach her 4th attack. And regarding her Radiance mechanic, you will gain 10 passively while just in her skill state. You will also gain 5 when a normal attack hits an opponent, and if you're in Ascendant Gleam, whenever Lunar Crystallize is triggered, you will gain 35 Radiance, and this can happen every 2 seconds. And then when you gain 70 Radiance, that is when you can cast her special elemental skill, which deals 2 hits of AoE Geo damage, with the second one being Lunar Crystallize damage. Zibai's combos happen to be very simple, as you just want to get to her 4th attack, which is her last hit anyways, and then cast her elemental skill. As long as you have off-field Hydro, you really shouldn't run into any issues in accumulating Radiance, so you just repeat N4E 4 times, and then boom, you've played Zibai optimally. Oh, and if Zibai's elemental burst is up by the time you finish her combo, you do want to cast it, as it's good damage. It just deals 2 hits of AoE Geo damage, with the second hit being direct Lunar Crystallize damage. Zibai's playstyle should be very similar to Flynn's, but instead of a special elemental burst, it's a special elemental skill. Now regarding her passives, none of them are really that complex. Her first passive just gives you extra defense scaling on her elemental skill. Her second passive increases your stats based on who's in your party, as you can see on screen. And her third passive is the typical Nordcry one, 14% base damage, and she increases your party's moon sign level by 1. Now before getting into her calculations, I briefly need to cover one more character. Illuga is a 4-star releasing alongside Zibai, and he's pretty much just crack for her, a Chevreuse tier support even. His main form of buffing comes from his elemental burst, in which he provides a flat damage buff that scales off of his elemental mastery. This flat buff is only to the active character, and it's exponentially stronger if it's to Lunar crystallize damage. Illuga is the Escofia to your Skirk, the Eon Sun to your Veressa, the Llama to your Nefer, you get the point. And being a 4-star that will run on her banner, it's a non-negotiable. You want to have him on your teams. His buffs don't stop at his burst, by the way, as he also provides the entire team with 10 geo crit damage and 5 geo crit rate, while also giving a team-wide 50 elemental mastery buff. His flat buff also gets stronger with the amount of geo or hydro characters you have on your team, and his constellations give him more quality of life, like the energy refund from his C1, or the off-field hits he gains from his C2, allowing him to contribute more to Lunar crystallize. He also gives the active character 200 defense with C4, and his C6 boosts his passive even further, allowing him to give 80 elemental mastery, as well as 10 geo crit rate and 10 geo crit damage. So to summarize, Illuga is cracked as fuck. So Zebai's teams will be built up of herself, Illuga, and then your Hydra support will either be Aino or Columbina, and then you do have a decent amount of options for your last slot. Goro at C6 is amazing. He provides strong defense buffs, he can hold instructors, he has a short field time too, which is another positive, he has some minor healing with his C4, and his C6 is of course very strong. For my calculations, he's currently the strongest Zebai team, cheating at over 140k DPS. Zhongli is also another character that can hold instructors comfortably, but the big thing is that he provides a shield, which makes Harbinger of Dawn a more real weapon option for Zebai, and it's around 15% stronger than her next best KQMS weapon, which is the Flute of Espit. One thing that's good about Zibai generally is the fact that she's a defense scaling character. She gains interruption resistance with her elemental skill, and she's running alongside Columbina, who wants to run prototype Amber anyways, as it's the best for her damage. So unlike Nefer, who is a lot more squishy, sustainless, I really don't think Zibai is going to have those issues. Zhongli here just helps with consistency, as I don't think Harbinger of Dawn is realistic on any team without him that isn't running a healer, for example. I guess another issue that does arise from both Goro and Zhongli, especially with the fact that they're running instructors, is the fact that they provide a very low Nordcry resonance boost. Goro with 2 defense main stats on instructors is only providing around 15% to the Nordcry resonance, which isn't a whole lot. And I put Zhongli on a full HP build to be more realistic, in which he's only providing 8% from Nordcry resonance. So yes, that does kind of suck, but it doesn't really matter when the results are this good. The other teams I took a look at were with Chiori and with Aino replacing Columbina. Her Chiori team is also very impressive, and with Aino she does drop down to the level of the other Nordcry DPSs without Columbina, which is still better than most of the Natlin cast besides Movwika and Veressa. Speaking of Movwika, you may be wondering how they stack up to each other, and this is actually an it depends moment. As I've stated almost every time I've discussed Movwika recently, she has gotten more optimized combos, and if you're able to perform these combos, then you get the results I'll put up on screen now. These calcs put Movwika at over 150k DPS, which is by far the strongest you can get at KQMS, but if you aren't able to perform these advanced Movwika combos, and you're still doing the standard C3 FD combos, this would put Movwika at under 140k DPS. So for the majority of players who aren't performing these combos, this would make Zibai theoretically stronger than Movwika, while not needing to learn any advanced techniques. Do keep in mind though that you do need a C6 Illuga though. Most people are only going to really get a C2 Illuga, unless you're going really heavy into Zibai constellations. And on top of this, you also need to get Columbina once again for her to reach this performance, which may not be realistic, as you'd need to get Zibai, Illuga constellations, and Columbina all in one patch, which is going to be extremely difficult, especially if Columbina and Zibai are on different halves. So while yes, Zibai does technically have the damage to surpass Movwika, it may take a while for anyone who isn't a whale to actually complete Zibai's teams. The Lunar reaction shield that will be in the next few patches should even things out, but most of Movwika's best supports have had reruns, So it is very likely that you're able to build a stronger Movuika team than a Zibai team on day one. Another thing is that Zibai and Movuika don't really compete for supports anyways, like they have no overlap at all, so there is no issue with just having both really strong DPS. Regardless, it is pretty crazy that we're finally reaching the point in Genshin where more characters are going to have Movuika levels of damage, as we can see with both Nefer and now Zibai. Columbina is really looking to just shake things up. But with that, I have nothing else to say, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on Zebai down below, as I would love to hear it and I respond to almost every single comment. Huge shout out to all my channel members. I really love and appreciate you all. Thank you so much for the continued support. Thanks to everyone else for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.